What are the biggest shifts you're seeing in the furniture and retail commerce over the last few years?
I think over the last 2 to 3 years, it's been a continuation of kind of the post-COVID expectations of customers. We all got used to buying online and pick up in store when we were forced to. And
why do you think overall Shopify is a very strong candidate for furniture retailers?
I think it's really two reasons. First off, being lower total cost of ownership.
How is AI reshaping commerce as such? I know Shopify has done some very some integration, I believe, with, is it Google, where you can give a furniture and you can, or anything, and it will tell you which is where you can buy it at the lowest cost or something like that.
AI is reshaping commerce kind of across the purchase journey and the operations. So I think you mentioned the Gemini integration. We've got integrations also with ChatGPT and Microsoft Copilot, and there are some more that are coming down the pipeline. The idea being, hey,
good afternoon, good evening, and good morning to everyone who's watching this webcast. My name is Aninda Bose. I'm the managing partner of DigiDrub. For folks who are new to DigiDrub, we are an AI native digital company which builds modern digital infrastructure for our clients. And we do this through a 4-stack offering. So in the base layer, we have the e-commerce platform implementation, websites, building mobile applications for iOS and Android. The second stack is, taking those businesses to the market through a full stack of digital marketing, tracking societal transitions through our AI platforms, and building contents, campaigns, and search engine optimization using, including the LLM engines for better traffic and higher conversion rates. Lastly, we do AR and VR for enterprises and tech support and build agentic AI for them, as well as APIs. Today's topic is on modern furniture commerce decoded. Essentially, out of the many retailers that we support, we've historically seen that furniture has been one of the hardest to categorize. Large catalogs, logistics, complexity, long purchase cycles, etc. To discuss about this, we have two very good speakers in the house, and I would like them to introduce themselves. One, we have Jeff Tarullo, and another we have Aninya Bhanja Chowdhury, and I will let Jeff and Aninda introduce themselves, please.
Hi, everyone. Jeff Tarullo here. I'm a partner solutions engineer at Shopify. I support our enterprise agency partners in all things technical and platform level expertise. So thinking about keeping them up to date on what's new with the platform, what our latest releases look like, and then best practices to implement for our complex or our bleeding edge customers.
Beautiful. And Jeff, you've had a wide experience in doing this for the last quite number of years, right?
Yes. So prior to Shopify, I spent a decade actually implementing e-commerce websites across kind of the legacy players in the ecosystem at WPP and Accenture.
Very impressive. Aninda, I would love to hear a little bit, what you do for DigiDrub.
Thank you very much, Anindo. Hi, Jeff, and hi, everyone. This is Anindo. I am a UI UX design and e-commerce consultant at DigiDrub. And with my years of experience working with both product and services companies, I was able to understand how customer behaves, and I try to implement that in our work so that customers are getting benefited, companies are getting better conversion, and that is the end goal of a person who's developing something for a e-commerce company. That's what we do.
Beautiful. Thank you. The way we've broken up our webcast today, I think it will be like in 4 segments. We'll start with what you're seeing in the industry, Shopify as a platform, how does it help, and very specific questions to how it is very specific to retail and furniture. Talk a little bit about how we can future-proof our clients and help them. Lastly, in converting more clients their way. So I'll start with industry outlook. And Jeff, from your side, what are the biggest shifts you're seeing in the furniture and retail commerce over the last few years?
Yeah, I think over the last 2 to 3 years, it's been a continuation of kind of the post-COVID expectations of customers. We all got used to buying online and pick up in store when we were forced to, and now those same expectations are being realized across retailers. So think about, hey, how do I go online to see whether a mattress is available in store so that I can go try it out in person, and then maybe I buy it in the store, or maybe I think about it longer, bigger purchase, I got a noodle on it, but then when I get home, I can actually purchase on the website, and making that a seamless journey for the customer is kind of table stakes, and really has evolved into that over the last couple of years. I think that's one piece of it. And then the second piece we're really seeing is around the widening of the discovery funnel. So it's not just web search anymore. It's not just social, but it's also these agentic channels and TikTok we're seeing as well, making sure that you can serve the customer across device and across experience is paramount to capturing all the demand at this point in time.
True. I think, huge societal transitions in that space. Not to take away from furniture, commerce and furniture retailers, but they've traditionally, I think, lagged behind other commercial goods industries or rapid moving products goods industry like fashion or electronics online. Why do you think that gap is now possibly closing?
So I think traditionally, right, the risk of a $20 electronics purchase or a $200 apparel purchase is pretty low, and return policies are great, right? And it hasn't always been that way in the furniture space. There's some tangibility and some in-store elements that need to happen. I do think that the omni-channel nature, the showroom concept of a furniture store, being able to go in, you can sit on the sofa, you can see what it looks like in person, you can feel the fabric, and then thinking about it and purchasing online is a big part of this transition. And I think furniture retailers are also getting a little bit smarter around returns policies, that it's not just an operational line item, but it's actually a part of the brand. We found that a better returns policy increases revenue more than the cost of actually implementing the return policy. So the businesses are growing because of that.
Interesting. Are retailers today thinking, do you think just beyond having the website and building more connected commerce ecosystem, do you see that happening, especially in the furniture space?
I do. I think it's serving customers where they are, where they're shopping, where they're browsing, where they're getting inspired, right? It's a long purchase cycle, as you mentioned before. So being able to hit them in a couple different points in their purchase journey allows them, your brand and your product, to stay top of mind, so that when they are ready to hit the buy button, they're thinking of you and part of their consideration set. And I think when we switch to kind of like the brand and the retailer side of things, managing that in one system, in one ecosystem, is highly critical. So you're not trying to stitch together 3 or 4 different systems that maybe worked 10 years ago, but have kind of layered on this technical complexity that forces you to maintain a lot at this point, rather than really like innovating and being able to spin up that next channel or that next touch point.
I agree. I'm seeing a lot of, and we'll come to that, but unified commerce is a very strong thing. Like, you get the same views from a retailer perspective, what the customer is getting. You're seeing traction in that space?
Correct. I mean, I think it's making sure that your inventory availability is accurate, is really, really important to these days, where, hey, someone wants to go in and see a couch, right? Or see a mattress, or touch the wood on a piece of on a table or a piece of furniture. They need to know before they get to the store that it's worth the trip. And so that's the first point of building trust with a customer, that then makes them feel better. If you validate it, you've charged their trust battery a little bit, so that as they move down the funnel and get closer to spending the $2,000 on a piece of furniture, that first point, you've built trust, and just continue to move with that first impression from there.
Agreed. Ananda, you've done a lot of implementations. What do you think, from a furniture e-commerce perspective, do you think it's more complex than any other retail categories, or do you think it's more or less the same?
There are complexities on it too. Though furniture commerce looks simple on surface, like catalog, cart, checkout, like any other e-commerce website, but still there are some complexities. For example, it's not just the website is helping a buyer to pick a product. It's basically helping the buyer to take a high consideration lifestyle decision. The product they're trying to buy here is costly. It's not $5, $10 small product. And there are different variants, configurability, different delivery challenges in then large e-commerce retailers or large retailers. They have warehouse in different places where the products might be scattered or spread. So bringing all these things together, some complexities are there, but good thing is that though there are complexities, but using a proper workflow and proper system, reduce these issues, and it can provide a good user experience at the end of the day.
Any operational bottlenecks you've typically seen? Any clients are usually legacy retailers, people who are using old systems, like 40 years in the business, trying to make a digital transformation. Any operational bottleneck that you see? And I'll follow up with a question that any underestimated challenges that you have seen brands discover only after migration starts, that only once you're trying to migrate, suddenly, they don't plan for this and they say that, oh my God, there is a challenge out here. Is there something like that you've seen in your experience?
Yes, I've experienced that. So let me first, answer to your first part of the question, which is any bottleneck or what happens when company using a legacy system transform into a new system. And here we are talking about digital transformation. So when you say digital transformation, it's not transformation in terms of technology or tool. It's basically organization transformation. So what we have noticed that in my experience that technology is not necessarily always going to be the bottleneck, but the process do. What happened? We have seen that a company might have a lot of products in their warehouse which are discontinued, or there are inconsistency in product data. Then in the process there are gaps, problem with the ownership. So when it's a bottleneck, these are some of the reasons where we have came across some challenges when redesigning our entire system or reimagining our entire system, bringing something new. But what I feel, if you ask me, we stop asking how do we move to the new system. Instead of asking this question, if we start asking or start realizing how we should operate in a better way so that the success comes. And that is the way we can possibly, reduce these bottleneck scenarios and, less friction when changing it to something new.
So basically you're saying that, so if somebody is doing, say, a legacy migration or, a legacy retailer trying to leapfrog the digital journey, obviously the technology is proven, things work, but it's their internal processes that they have, that needs to get re-looked at, right? And they can probably leverage somebody like you or your team members to. That's one of the questions they need to ask, that, listen, we haven't done this before. We are trying to take this journey. So hence, what do we do? Right?
Yes. And here comes the second part of your, question where you mentioned that if we have come across any such challenges or scenarios. And when I say that changing is not just technology change, it's a change in the organizational behavior and everything. It's basically a readiness. I can give you a live example. I can't take the customer name here, but we have come across quite a big furniture retailer who are operating in South America, and they wanted us to integrate the new Shopify website with their SAP system. And when we started the actual work, we understood that the system they are using, it's quite old. It's very old, and they haven't took the path of upgrading themselves. There are data mismatch, and it was basically a nightmare. So we actually had to reconfigure, redo everything, and it took us a lot of additional time, because
Right.
until and unless they are ready with their system, we won't be able to do anything at the Shopify yet. Right? So this kind of readiness is a problem, and people needs to understand that okay, I want to upgrade, but am I ready to be jump into that particular
There's a lot
platform?
of, I understand. There's a lot of issues, including your databases that you're using at the back end, right, to ensure those flows within the system. I think those are there, but those things can be worked out in today's world, because any it's not only DigiDrub. I think any company which has the experience in doing so would be able to guide the customers and prep them
Yes.
prior to doing this migration. Anyway, so this is good. Let's quickly move on. I mean, people builds great web e-commerce engines and everything else, but what other areas do you think that you're seeing that customers do the moment they build a good website? Because bottom line, you're building it to sell more of your goods and services. So any insights on that you're seeing
Yeah.
across the retailers you're servicing?
Building the website is the step one. What comes after is how you manage it, how you market it, how you keep on improving it, how you are capturing your customers' behavior and experience and using that to improve your e-commerce website, your marketing campaign, your digital presence, everything. So it is very important to keep on engaging, use the data correctly, and keep yourself always improved for better conversion.
It's basically what you're talking about is to have a better digital marketing stack. Otherwise, it's
Yes.
no use, because if you're not found, SEO has become a lifeline. And with today's large language models coming in, like OpenAI, Claude, right? You do not know where your customers are searching, which are the top 10 retailers, and you should be featured out there. So yeah, absolutely. I think that's important. Let's move on to the second segment of our conversation. And this is, Jeff, I think you'd be, very well positioned. And why do you think, why Shopify? I mean, Shopify has been growing extremely, extremely well. We know, in the marketplace. Why do you think overall Shopify is a very strong candidate for, furniture retailers?
Yeah, thanks. I think it's really two reasons. First off, being lower total cost of ownership compared to kind of our peers in the ecosystem in the industry. Um, Furniture specifically is under a lot of margin compression. So
Yeah.
CFOs are trying to figure out how they can move things around, whether to find the pennies or find the additional pieces, so they don't necessarily need to pass on those costs to the customers. And Shopify, if you can find moving to Shopify, I think it's on average like 25% less total cost of ownership
Wow.
across both software and then the maintenance teams around it. So if you can find that extra couple $100,000, $1 million, whatever you're paying, you can either pass that along to the customer or also reinvest that into a defining experience for your industry vertical, for furniture, for whether it's manufacturing or retailer. And I think Shopify allows for that quick and rapid experimentation, as well as innovation on a proven feature in the industry, so that you can get from zero to idea significantly faster than on a legacy platform. So we're launching in days to weeks now, rather than weeks to months.
That's very, very powerful. I think because sometimes people, some legacy retailers suddenly when they see last 3 quarters, 4 quarters, suddenly there's some new company which has come out and selling more. They said, oh God, we have to leapfrog digital. And we do not have time for a year to figure it out. How do we do it in weeks? But that becomes very powerful. My follow-up question is that for a few years back, I used to look Shopify more as an SMB focused, small and medium business focused, but big enterprises are using it now. How has that evolution happened?
Yeah, so I think it's really interesting. I was in the same boat. I think 2 years ago, I was running an SAP commerce practice, and it was like, where the heck has Shopify come from? And then I dug into it further, and it was like, oh, they've reinvented the platform. Toby has this concept of delete. So for things that aren't working, pieces of functionality, we rewrite them and have made them more scalable and more extensible as our platform has grown, which has opened up more opportunities to move up market into those enterprise retailers. So then when I was talking with my SAP commerce merchants, it was not why Shopify, it's why not Shopify. And we'd be trying to find where it doesn't work, because financially and platform wise, it was a significant improvement.
Which leads me to this question that for furniture retailers, or for large product retailers, where do you generally what capabilities matter most today? I mean, there are so many things like visual commerce, fulfillment, search, discovery. What do you think matters most today?
Yeah, I think first and foremost is checkout, fast and high converting. And I think that's where Shopify leads the industry. But because customer acquisition costs are only going up kind of steeply in the last year or so, making sure that you capture that qualified traffic that hits your website is the fastest way to a revenue bump. But then also when we talk about furniture, it's fulfillment expectations. How do you build trust early and set the expectation, hey, you'll get this on X date, right? I know that's challenging operationally, but that's like the ideal state or the North Star. If a customer knows, hey, I'm going to get my sofa on July 1st in time for my holiday party on July 4th, great. That becomes an easier purchase than a vague 2 to 4 weeks or no delivery expectation. And setting that expectation as early in the purchase funnel is important. And then the other thing that's unique to furniture is the visualization piece, right? Like a piece of furniture doesn't ever live or operate by itself. It's in a room or in a space or in an outdoor setting where it needs to work with everything else. So augmented reality or configuration, 3D spins, being able to see the front and the backside of furniture looks like, is incredibly important online where you can't see and feel it. But a customer needs to understand how it's going to fit their physical space.
I think mobile AR is going to get bigger. It's going to touch every area. Amazon has been using it now. You can literally see products, how it will look in your house before making a purchase. Getting a furniture at home, again, sending it back is a pain both ways, from the seller perspective as well as the buyer's perspective. But I do agree with you, giving more visualization aid in order to make good decisions is good. Aninda, quick question for you. When clients move from legacy platforms, so a client which has been working for a while and, and then they move to something like Shopify or any modern platform, what are the first business improvements they usually notice, outside revenue bump? Is there anything else that they notice?
Of course, I would say speed of execution. In a new platform, decision making, taking things fast, that becomes very easy.
You get visualization and analytics become, suddenly you get all the analytics that you didn't have before.
Yes. And your decision making capability becomes 10x more.
Yeah.
You take good decisions because you have the data to take that specific decision. And that makes you, better than your competitors if they are not using it, of course. So that is the advantage of moving from a legacy to a, new platforms or advanced platform like Shopify.
Let me ask you a it's a little debatable topic, but I think people who would be watching this, from a buyer side, would find this question interesting. So you've done a business case and you've found the total cost of ownership, the functional points, the roadmap a platform has is better, and you're taking a decision to re-platform, right? What mistakes should companies avoid? So say if you're with I don't want to name any other company, but say XYZ e-commerce platform and you're moving to something like Shopify, right? You're already in the e-commerce, but you want to get to the next level. Any mistakes that they made that they should avoid, while they move from one e-commerce platform to the other?
Yes. First of all, there is a mind shift. And I have noticed that there's a common mistake is treating such projects as just a technology procurement exercise, which is wrong. It's not, you're not just upgrading your technology. There is a reason that you are upgrading the technology. That is something you need to understand. Secondly, when you are moving from one platform to another platform, the workforce that were using the previous platform, they need to be trained. They can't be trained automatically, or they can't adopt everything, overnight.
Right.
So plan things properly. That is the biggest mistake people does. If they don't plan it, then there is a friction. This friction will ultimately bring in, collision, and your expected speed will not be achieved, and which sometimes bring in the question, well, have we actually moved to the correct one? But the reason lies somewhere else. And that is where a good consulting company should guide the user or the e-commerce company. Okay, if you want to move from this to that, which is good, and that is how you should create your internal team, change their mindset, train them properly, so that the moment the new system is available, they can start using it properly, and you get more out of it. That is why you are moving. Your expectation is to get more out of it.
Which leads obviously to the most important question, which is change management, which is nothing to do with technology.
No.
But this, so you're saying that when you're doing your change management has to be clearly defined, all the functional points. This would be the new process flow. This is how we are going to manage the operations. That clarity is very essential. Otherwise, there might be also resistance, because human beings are, generally human beings don't like change. I always say this, whether you agree it or not. So and especially if you're very young, you can people like once you're in the you've worked for 20 years, any change is like another learning process. So what I'm hearing from you is that change management is very important.
Of course, because platform don't transform your business. People do. People need to be ready to adapt something new, right? That's how you make the change. So it's very critical, the change, to understand the change management and understand the impact of it and be prepared for that.
Which brings us to the third segment of our conversation, which is CX, or customer experience and conversion. The reason why everybody's trying to leapfrog the digital, today's digital age, and build better platforms. Jeff, quick question. And I think it will be very important for folks who would be listening to this webcast. This question: how important do you think is experience-led commerce in furniture today? Very specific to furniture. It is important, but if you can cite some example. And my follow-up question is, what customer trends do you believe will define in the next few years? What's going to happen?
Yeah. So to answer kind of your first question, I think it's critically important for furniture and in any industry that has a high duration of purchase journey. That consideration set being longer means that you're going to be interacting with a brand for a longer and longer period of time. So it needs to be a good trust building experience, needs to be inspirational to push towards purchase and kind of say, hey, I align with this brand or this ethos or this sustainability practice that's highly relevant to the furniture industry and kind of that younger demographic today. But then also, I think we need to remember that the commerce experience doesn't end on add to cart or checkout, right? But it's also how do you make sure that that post purchase experience matches what
Yeah.
you promised on the web or on any other digital channels, to make sure that you're delivering customer expectations all the way through the transaction, because that's where your brand lives. It's not just the inspirational content, it's also the operational and how those work together. And then I think customer experience trend, I think the on-site AI agent or purchasing bot or shopping assistant, whatever the industry term is, we haven't quite nailed down on one, is going to be the thing that moves the needle a ton in the next, I would say, 1 to 2 years, not necessarily 2 to 3. I think AI is moving so quickly, we don't know what's past 3 years.
Right. Yeah.
But being able to replicate a store assistant, who maybe knows you and your purchase history,
Yeah.
but able to have a conversation and say, "Hey, I'm concerned about this," and it, be able to give you good information back. It builds trust, but also addresses some of those concerns that maybe get in the way of a person hitting the buy button, and moving the transaction forward. I think that's going to be kind of revolutionary for these high consideration purchases.
I agree. I mean, yeah, we'll talk a little bit about AI at the end, but um, uh, another question for you, what are some UX or user experience or operational decisions that directly impact conversion rates you're seeing amongst the retailers you're supporting?
So yes, I would actually answer this in continuation of what Jeff mentioned. The decision or if someone is dropping off, it doesn't happen at the cart page. It actually happens way before the cart page is, the buyer reaches to the cart page. Sometimes what happens, as a designer, I'm from designing background. So as a designer, we tend to polish our design, bring in more elements and, make it more flashy to the end customers. But the actual problem is something else. A designer should design things such a way it reduces friction. So as an end user, I should be quickly able to find what I'm looking for. It should have all the information that will build my trust completely. It will win my trust. Like Jeff mentioned that if you are walking into a furniture store, there's a person who's assisting you. And though we'll be having this AI related discussion later, but having those kind of thing, some kind of assistive technology or workflow that will actually help you to take a decision, a better decision. And of course, bring, the mobile, you have the AR and all this stuff, which will also help you to visualize. If I'm investing like $20,000 on the sofa for my living room, how does it look? Because as previously you mentioned, buying and then returning it is a nightmare. It's a logistical nightmare, right? So to avoid all these things, if we design things in such a way where we have less friction, more trust, and easily, show the customer, okay, this is what you are looking for, this is what it is. A very clear-cut communication with all the variants, all the other related information. Then you have a less number of drop-offs and more number of conversions.
Once people are moving into, say, for example, a very modern platform like Shopify, how are they using suddenly do you see they're using customer data and analytical data well, or do you see that progressively some people are using, my idea is that adoption of understanding and usage of data, is it immediate you see for legacy providers, or do you see that gradually because they were not used to getting such insights before? So do you see that, oh
Yes.
my God, that, they suddenly jump on it? Or do you say that, no, they're slowly getting used to analyzing data and saying that, oh, our past decision wasn't that good?
It happens both ways on it. If someone is transforming from legacy platform to a new platform, legacy transform was not able to produce that amount of user data. Once they move into the new platform,
We
it
understand
starts
that, yeah.
collecting the data, and it takes some time to collect a sizable amount of data that can be properly analyzed, and based on that you can take a decision. By the time, if the readiness mindset or the moving mindset is there, I have seen retailers picked up things pretty quickly, or sometimes it takes some time. It sets them push from their consultants as well. Okay, you already have this data, why don't you use it? This data says that if we move this from here to here, or if we do this like this, then it's better. Because in today's world, not only Shopify, there are other incredible platforms which will help you to pinpoint how users are behaving, how users are
Understood.
rolling around the screen, leveraging everything in taking
So you're
the
saying it
modern
takes time,
technology in.
basically.
It takes
You're
time.
saying it takes a little time for especially the legacy people who are not leapfrogging the digital age. Okay, that's what you're seeing as a constant, like a trend. How people don't really jump; they wait for the data to come in, slowly getting used, marinating that data, building the culture of data within organization, which makes sense actually. For people who are leapfrogging. This brings us to the last segment, and we'll have a very interesting. This is something a little unknown also. Artificial intelligence. The future of commerce, of retail and furniture commerce. Jeff, what do you see? How is AI reshaping commerce as such? I know Shopify has done some very, some integration, I believe, with is it Google, where you can find out, you give a you can give a furniture and you can, or anything, and it will tell you which is the where you can buy it at the lowest cost or something like that.
Correct. So I think AI is reshaping commerce kind of across the purchase journey and the operations, frankly. So I think you mentioned the Gemini integration. We've got integrations also with ChatGPT and Microsoft Copilot, and there are some more that are coming down the pipeline. But the idea being, hey, customers are massively adopting these conversational agents. And it's not just for quick Google searches, but it's for full length conversations. And it's already driving traffic to your site, but the order capabilities are starting to ramp up as well. So that when you think about I don't know, let's call it a kitchen set, right? Hey, I go on to ChatGPT and I need a kitchen set.
Yeah.
You need to make sure as a brand that the information that's showing up for ChatGPT is accurate and also visible, because you don't have a page of search results anymore. You're either showing up on a customer's query or not, right?
Yeah.
So making sure that your sites are optimized for those experiences as well. Once they hit your site, being able to offer a similar experience with a shopping assistant that you can have a conversation with, an objection handle, or address some concerns from the buyer. And then operationally, something like Shopify Sidekick or third-party agents that allow you as a operator or a retailer to say, hey, like, set up a promotion for XYZ, the idea I had, right? How did that sale last week do? Pull the data. Where is this shipment along the journey, right? And being able to do it from a chat interface speeds up your cycles in terms of being able to serve the customer or deliver a new experience. So I think it's kind of wide breadth, and it's still early days to figure out, hey, what are going to be the largest points of impact? But we're seeing it kind of across every e-com function.
I agree with you 100%. Aninda, what advice would you give to a retailer who's still hesitant about modernizing, their commerce stack or moving to the latest and, not the greatest? I'll say that, it becomes a little cliche, but at least, taking the digital journey, who's still a little hesitant. And you've seen, I'm sure, a number of them who finally decided to do. But what would you advise them?
My advice would be
Digital or death?
first of so first of all, like I mentioned earlier, don't think that modernization is just a investment in technology. So should think of think of it as your future. It's an investment in your future, which will preserve your future and take your business to the next level. That is one advice. Secondly, build some capabilities internal. One is you should understand your customer properly. Understand, start using the data that you have captured, the buying behavior or customer data, everything. So basically data literacy, and understand the data so that you can start having small experiments and see how things are improving. And of course there's something called, technically it's called content velocity. So that means how today's contents are not static, these are all dynamic content. So bringing that capability, understand these things, and there are a lot of cross-function execution requirement will appear, and be prepared to collaborate with others. Like Jeff was mentioning about integrating with ChatGPT or Gemini. There are a lot of tools, right? So we should have the mindset to use other tools who are there to serve a specific purpose. Instead of building those capability in-house, why not use them?
I think, Aninda, that's true. But this is what I think, and I try to put myself in the customer's shoe, that if I am like a legacy trying to leapfrog into the digital journey, most human beings and most businessmen want certainty, right? There are very few people who are like true innovators will say that let's experiment. You don't get a Thomas Edison, in the corner of every street. Otherwise, the world will be filled with Edisons. So I think giving examples that somebody like you or three of them have done this and they are here today in a span in 12 months, that gives them the belief that this is what they have done and this is how their business looks now, not only taking better decisions, they're more relevant to their customers. It was relatively an easier journey for them to move to the digital age. And for the total cost of ownership is not as scary as you think, and it can be managed outside, successfully. And fifth, all this leads to the most important thing, which is a bump in your revenue, right? And your margins. If all these are not in place, I don't think, people would be very interested in order to take that jump. People like certainty in life. All you said, I agree. And I think Jeff's points were very, very valid too. But I think giving case studies becomes very important, from an advisory perspective, that listen, if you're here, you want to go here, these are the 5 things you need to do. But in the interest of time, I will have some closing questions for both of you. What is one practical first step, Jeff, you think a retail can take tomorrow, people who have not leapfrogged into the digital age, a furniture retailer? What is one practical first step they should do in order to take this journey?
I think the first step is a little bit of looking in the mirror or understanding what a benchmark is for a new feature rollout, right? Are you still in that mindset of weeks to months to improve your customer experience because of limited dev capacity, or the platform has so many moving pieces that you need to change 10 things, or you're spending so much time running and operating the thing that you're not actually able to innovate? But being able to realistically say, hey, it takes us 6 weeks to launch a feature. Is that good enough in 2026? I think that's the first question in terms of understanding, hey, how do we improve from here? Because the pace of innovation is only accelerating. And the leading brands, or the brands that capture the opportunities, are going to be the ones that can move quickly.
Very
powerful. Aninda, any insights on that? What would you say? And you've met
what I would suggest.
Yeah.
So, what I would suggest, Aninda, I also agree with what James says. But from a designer's point of view, I'd say that understand your customer, map the end-to-end customer journey. You will also understand where are the frictions, why the business is not performing as per your expectation. The moment you do that, have the problem statement, you know how to cut it out. You become better. You start giving better performance, better customer experience, hence your business will grow. It's as simple as that.
True. I think digital is, if you like for a human being, life skills, there are some life skills like swimming is a life skill, bicycling is a life skill, uh, ability to communicate is a life skill. Empathy to me is a strong life skill in today's digital skills. I think if business itself is humanized, being digital is a skill for the business. The faster you adopt it, you'll be able to sustain and grow. Because your customers have changed. If you do not change it at their pace, you're staying back. But I do want to thank both of you for your time. I think people will find this insightful. We try to keep it very customer specific and furniture retailer specific. I think being future commerce ready will define businesses who are going to sustain and grow. Any closing comments from you, Jeff, Ananda?
I don't think so. I mean, if anything resonated specifically, please don't hesitate to reach out to either myself or the rest of the panel. I think this scratched the surface in terms of our experience in the industry and in e-commerce, and would love to have another conversation.
Ananda, anything from your side?
All I all I want to say is I'm really, curious and excited to see how AI capabilities are, enhancing or helping us do better. It's like, don't show me the product, help me choose a product which I need. Okay. So exciting things are coming, and I'm really interested to see how things works. Because for me, AI is my assistant, and AI will remain my assistant. I'll use AI to expedite my work and get better output. So looking forward to see all these things happen.
Okay. Well, thank you again to both of you, and I hope this would be useful to our viewers. Thank you very much, gentlemen.